Imagine two philosophers sitting across the table, one firmly rooted in belief, the other in skepticism, and both absolutely sure they've cracked the code on life's greatest mystery, purpose. Now add a third voice, someone who's not a philosopher, but has plenty to say about meaning and direction. Sounds like a scene out of a movie, right? Yet this is the essence of what happens when we discuss purpose of life. Wrestling with deep ideas about why we're here can feel overwhelming, especially when opposing perspectives make it seem like the answers are buried under a mountain of theory. But life's purpose is more practical, even simpler than people think. Most of us step into these conversations about life's meaning already feeling a little unsure. Questions about purpose often come up during life's crossroads, when we don't know where to turn. But here's the kicker: philosophers might argue endlessly over theology or science. Yet for the everyday person, what matters is clarity, direction, and connection. You don't need to be a scholar to feel lost when meaning seems wrapped in abstract ideas. It's easy to wonder, is purpose something out there waiting for me, or is it hiding somewhere within? Here's the big secret: purpose doesn't have to be a puzzle box only philosophers can unlock. You don't need to debate the existence of God or the intricacies of consciousness. You just need a clear, practical understanding of what purpose feels like. And yes, it is something you can feel, something you can measure, but it doesn't live outside of you. It's with you already, waiting to be uncovered. Keep reading, because the next question to tackle is, where does this elusive thing called purpose actually come from? Purpose isn't what most people think it is. We're often told that purpose is tied to external markers: the job that pays 6 figures, the house with a view, or even the perfect relationship. But here's the truth: purpose doesn't come from things. It's an internal sensation, something rooted deep within you that can't be handed down by external success or societal expectations. Ever notice how some people with everything still feel empty, while others with far less are fulfilled? That's because purpose starts on the inside, not from what surrounds you. What's fascinating is that purpose isn't black and white. It's not a simple yes or no question like, do I have purpose? Instead, it's something fluid and measurable. You can experience a little or a lot of it. Think of it like a dimmer switch rather than an on-off button. For instance, you might feel 40% purposeful in your career, but 70% purposeful when you're with your family, and that's normal. The goal isn't to have 100% all the time, but to grow that inner sense of meaning step by step. Sounds refreshing, right? Here's another myth buster. You don't find purpose by wandering the world or endlessly searching for that one thing you're meant to do. Hollywood might romanticize the idea of finding your purpose, but in reality, purpose comes from building, creating something within yourself through intentional actions and meaningful choices. It's empowering when you realize you aren't lost. You're just learning how to build. And speaking of building, the next piece of the puzzle lies in understanding a powerful framework called the theory of self-determination. The theory of self-determination is a game changer when it comes to understanding purpose and direction in life. At its core, it explains how we create a sense of meaning through autonomy, growth, and authentic connections. Think about it like this: when you let life happen to you, merely reacting to circumstances, it's easy to feel adrift, like you're stuck just surviving. But the moment you take an active role and start making intentional choices, even small ones, the tide begins to turn. It's not about luck or being special, it's about reclaiming that internal power you've always had. But how does this framework actually work? It all boils down to identifying what separates those who feel purpose from those who don't. A person with purpose approaches life differently. They choose paths based on their inner desires, not just society's expectations. They embrace challenges as opportunities to grow rather than running from them, and they prioritize relationships that allow them to be their true selves. Now compare this to someone who feels lost. They let others decide for them, avoid growth, and settle for surface-level connections. Spot the difference. And here's the best part: this isn't just an abstract concept. You can make small, deliberate changes today to start living in alignment with these principles. Start by asking yourself, what decisions in my life have I been letting others make for me? Or, when was the last time I truly stepped out of my comfort zone? From there, the work begins. Up next, we'll dive into the 3 key pillars of this incredible theory, and how each one can transform your approach to life. At the foundation of the theory of self-determination are 3 crucial pillars: autonomy, growth, and authentic relationships. The first pillar, making autonomous choices, is all about reclaiming control over your own life. Think of all those decisions you've made based on what society says is right, like picking a job because it pays more, even if it sucks the joy out of you. True autonomy means making choices because they align with your passions, values, and inner vision. Want to feel more connected to your purpose? Take one step today where you choose what's best for you. Even something as simple as reading a book because it excites you, not because someone said you should. The second pillar, pushing beyond your comfort zone, is about growth. Many of us resist growth because, well, it's uncomfortable. But here's the irony. Without stretching your capacities, you stay stuck in the same old patterns, feeling stagnant. Think of it like going to the gym. Lifting light weights might feel easier, but it won't build strength. The same applies to life. If waking up at 7 a.m. feels manageable, try 6:30. If you've always wanted to start a project but have been afraid to fail, take the leap. Even small steps out of your comfort zone build confidence and ignite the momentum needed for growth. And then there's the third pillar, authentic relationships. Humans are wired for connection, but purpose doesn't come from shallow interactions. It stems from being your authentic self and having others genuinely see and accept that version of you. Isn't it exhausting to wear a social mask, pretending to be someone you're not, just to fit in? Start fostering deeper bonds. Reach out to someone who values you for you. Open up a little more and nurture that connection. When you combine autonomy, growth, and real relationships, you'll find yourself aligned with a sense of meaning that feels solid and fulfilling. But what if life's challenges throw you off balance? That's where the concept of control comes into play. Control is at the center of how we experience purpose in life. Have you ever felt like life is just happening to you? Bills piling up, problems at work, unexpected crises? It's exhausting, isn't it? These are what we call passive challenges, the difficulties you never asked for but are forced to handle. Now compare that to active challenges like deciding to run a marathon or taking an online class to learn a new skill. The difference is striking. Passive challenges drain you, while active challenges fuel a sense of purpose. Why? Because when you choose your struggles, it restores your perception of control. Here's where it gets interesting. The number of challenges in your life doesn't matter as much as the ratio of active to passive ones. Let's say you're bogged down with several problems out of your control. The common response is to retreat and hope the chaos subsides. But stepping back only creates more passive challenges. The bills don't magically disappear, and the stress only grows. Instead, try this. Add one active challenge to the mix. Start small. Maybe it's deciding to hit the gym 3 times a week, or committing to journaling daily. Choosing even one empowering activity can shift the ratio and help you reclaim the upper hand. When you feel in control, something profound happens. You become more optimistic and resilient, and life's passive challenges begin to feel less daunting. Your brain doesn't care about the absolute number of difficulties. It simply calculates how many you're choosing versus how many are thrown at you. So, the next time life feels overwhelming, think about what active challenge you can introduce. But what happens when we don't have this sense of control, leading to destructive habits or feelings of helplessness? That's where we need to talk about the link between purpose and addiction. Addiction, whether to substances, screens, or destructive habits, often has its roots in a lack of purpose. Think about it. When life feels meaningless, those quick dopamine hits, binge watching TV, mindless phone scrolling, or even substance use feel like the only escape. But these habits only numb the emptiness temporarily. They don't fill the void. The truth is, without a solid sense of purpose to anchor you, it becomes all too easy to fall into patterns of dependence on external rewards. Ever felt like you're stuck in this cycle? You're not alone. And breaking out of it starts by finding something deeper to live for. What's fascinating is that addiction and purpose are inversely related. When you lack purpose, the pull of mindless habits strengthens because there's nothing else motivating you to act differently. Take, for instance, recovering from something as challenging as substance abuse. The withdrawal itself is painful, sure, but what really makes the process unbearable is having no compelling why to push through the discomfort. Whether it's the goal of rebuilding relationships, creating a meaningful career, or simply rediscovering self-worth. Finding your purpose gives you the fuel to keep going when things get hard. Here's where it gets practical. Start small. You don't need to overhaul your entire existence in a week. Dive into hobbies, volunteer your time, or explore what genuinely excites you. It doesn't have to be grand or life-changing immediately. Every little step reconnects you with what's meaningful and weakens that reliance on external distractions. Purpose shifts your focus from escaping life's challenges to embracing them with resilience. Of course, purpose alone doesn't solve everything. So what stops people from even starting this journey? The answer lies in understanding the internal obstacles that hold us back. When it comes to growth and change, one of the biggest hurdles lies within. The inner conflict between wanting a better life and simply lacking the energy, motivation, or courage to pursue it. Let's face it, the gap between I want to change and I can actually do it often feels enormous. This is where resistance, those nagging thoughts of self-doubt and procrastination, turns into quicksand. How often do we catch ourselves saying, "I'll start tomorrow," only to find ourselves stuck in the exact same spot? The first step forward is often the heaviest, but also the most powerful. Another major obstacle is emotional blockage. Anxiety, feelings of unworthiness, and even burnout can create a mental wall that feels impossible to scale. Picture this: you're eager to attend a social event to combat loneliness, but the moment you step into the room, social anxiety kicks in, making you want to flee, or consider setting a goal like hitting the gym. Your mind tells you it's good for you, but the discomfort of getting up early or the fear of gym judgment stops you in your tracks. It's not that you don't care about growth, it's that your emotional wiring is screaming, "Stop." To overcome these blocks, focus on simplifying. Break ambitious goals into bite-sized progressions. Instead of aiming for perfection, aim for movement. Can't commit to a full workout? Try a 5-minute stretch. Feeling anxious about making new friends? Start with just one honest conversation with someone you feel comfortable with. These small victories build momentum, and momentum beats resistance every time. But here's where we take things deeper. How can we shift our mindset entirely and focus less on ourselves when we feel stuck? That's where Viktor Frankl and his timeless strategies come into play. Viktor Frankl's approach to finding purpose is as profound as it is practical. One of his cornerstone techniques, dereflection, invites us to take a step back from constant self-focus. When life feels unbearable, it's easy to spiral into hyperreflection. Why is this happening to me? Or what does this failure say about me? But Frankl discovered that the key to meaning is zooming out. Instead of obsessing over every setback, try framing these moments as part of a larger story. Ask yourself, if this were just one chapter in the narrative of my life, what lesson could I take from it? It's like rewatching a favorite movie. Suddenly, that messy middle makes sense in the context of a powerful ending. Another remarkable method Frankl pioneered is paradoxical intention. It's a bit of a mental twist. Instead of dreading challenges or avoiding the things that scare you, you lean into them. For example, if you're afraid of public speaking, instead of obsessing over what could go wrong, you might reframe it as an opportunity to fail spectacularly and laugh about it later. It sounds counterintuitive, but by almost welcoming the fear, you rob it of its power. Anxiety thrives on avoidance, but confidence is born when you face those dreaded moments head-on. Think of it as flipping the script. Your fear becomes part of your growth. Frankl's techniques remind us that purpose doesn't appear out of thin air. It's shaped by the way we respond to life's adversities. Each challenge can either build you or break you, depending on how you frame it. So, the next time you're overwhelmed, try these exercises. Look not at what's happening to you, but at what's happening through you. After all, finding purpose is less about avoiding struggle and more about transforming it. But how does all this translate into daily action? Let's tackle that next by exploring the role of practical steps in turning purpose into reality. Purpose isn't just something you think about. It's something you cultivate through deliberate action. We often fall into the trap of overthinking, waiting for some grand aha moment to magically align our lives. But here's the kicker. Purpose grows when you do. Taking small, practical steps creates momentum, and that momentum fuels a deeper sense of meaning. Think of it like planting a garden. You don't just sit and hope flowers will bloom. You plant the seeds, water them daily, and trust the process. Purpose works the same way. Effort and consistency bring results. What's key here is adopting a progressive mindset. You don't need to leap straight to the finish line. In fact, trying to skip steps often leads to frustration. Start with manageable actions. If you've been avoiding a major life decision, break it down into smaller choices. For instance, instead of deciding to change careers overnight, begin by exploring skills or side projects that align with your interests. Progress isn't about speed, it's about direction. Each small victory builds confidence and a deeper connection to your purpose. And remember, action doesn't need to be perfect, it just needs to happen. Even failing at something is progress because it teaches you resilience and helps refine your path. When you take consistent actions in the face of adversity, you begin to see yourself in a new light as someone capable of overcoming challenges. Here's the beautiful irony. By focusing on doing, you stop obsessing over perfection and start creating purpose through the process itself. But how do all these ideas come together in the big picture? Let's stitch it all into a meaningful takeaway. At the end of the day, understanding purpose and meaning isn't just about philosophical musings. It's about what you're willing to change, build, and embrace in your own life. Every choice you've made, every challenge you've faced, and every setback you've endured has brought you here. The question now is, what are you going to do with it? It's easy to absorb knowledge and feel inspired in the moment, but purpose demands action. Will you let life continue to push you, or will you step into your narrative and take ownership of your story? Here's something to think about. What if you really do have the power to transform your life, starting today? Viktor Frankl believed that even in the darkest moments, humans can find meaning by shifting perspective and choosing growth. No matter how small the step, that growth begins when you stop waiting and start doing. Maybe that means finally tackling a project you've been procrastinating on, or mending a relationship that's been weighing on your heart. The key is to stop overthinking every move and simply start. There's power in motion, no matter how imperfect it might be. And now, the spotlight shifts to you. What's the next step in your journey? Your purpose isn't hiding somewhere out there, it's shaped every time you make a choice or face a challenge with courage. Growth isn't easy, but it is possible, and it starts with the commitment to show up for yourself. It's time to take action, build momentum, and craft a life that feels meaningful. But don't do it alone. Surround yourself with people and resources that keep you moving forward. Now, it's your turn. Which of these strategies will you apply first? Let me know in the comments, and if this content resonated with you, be sure to subscribe to the channel. Hit the notification bell and join the community where we dive deeper into life's biggest questions and how to conquer them. Remember, progress starts with one small step. So, are you ready to start yours?